Hey guys, Cam for 15 back at it with another video for you guys. Back with another episode review of Oshi no Ko season 2. This is episode 10. As I believe this is the part of the arc where part of the season where they end up actually it's the first intro, but they actually end up going to the area where Ruby and Aqua in their previous lives were at, the hotel area. So, essentially, that was kind of a crazy revelation. But let's start off with the revelation about Aqua's father. So Uehara basically lets Aqua know, like, all right, you want to know? It's it's probably best we go elsewhere, right? So they actually decide. So he actually is like, all right, let's take my adoptive father, right, and let's go to my place. So that's what they do. So they end up going to his place, and this is when Uehara explains everything, what's going on. So basically, yes, it's true. Him and Aqua are related. Now, they're not blood related, but they're like half siblings, right? They're like kind of, again, half siblings, step siblings, same old, right? So we find out about their father, right? And we find out that that their father is dead. So and they died through a double suicide, which was absolutely revelation or a crazy revelation. Because when I remember watching this, I'm like, wait, he's dead. So this entire time, Aqua's looking for a dead man, and Aqua's in utter shock. He's like, wait, no. There's no shot. He's dead. And that's what dude says. He's like, yeah, he's dead. And it was double suicide. Uehara basically makes a mention, like, look, because the dude couldn't cut it as a talented dude, that's why he basically went around and slept with very talented women. And I could probably tell that your mom was probably a talented woman, and he basically ended up, sleeping with them. And he then goes on to say, like, so how old are you? 17? Oh, yeah. Yeah, clearly, dude was sleeping around with your mother, there. And he actually goes on to say, like, he didn't like him either. And the fact that he especially hates the fact that like the dude went around basically fooling around with girls and sleeping with them, then getting them pregnant to then have kids. So then he could basically, I guess you could say, vicariously live through his girlfriends and the children in a weird way. But then he ended up killing himself over it and things like that. So it's crazy. Now, obviously, I'll get to the final episode with what happens there. But it's absolutely crazy that this dude, one, it just goes to show you how despicable this guy was. One, he didn't have one set girlfriend that he ended up hooking up with. Two, he make the case he probably got these girls pregnant at fairly, it's what it sounds like, a fairly early age. Because we know with she was still young. She was like a teenager at best, where she was like 18, 19ish, right? And she's already having a kid. Correct me if I'm wrong about that. But it's absolutely crazy that this dude, he would sleep with one girl, probably get this girl pregnant, then go to the next girl and get another girl pregnant. And mind you, he's doing this as probably an adult male, like in his probably like maybe late 20s, 30s range. So he's voluntarily finding these girls, which again, it goes to show you how disgusting the industry, because there's in some cases that shit actually does happen, where it's kind of like, I guess you can say, I want to say trafficking, but like legitimately taking, like abusing, and stuff like that, and taking advantage of young actresses and having like these relationships or something like that with them, and it gets all murky and everything, right? And that's basically what Aqua and Ruby are. They're of a relationship that was kind of like, probably should never happened. And now it's even more when you find out, like, apparently this dude man like slept with multiple women. It's like, Oh, so it wasn't just like a two-time occurrence with this dude with Uehara or Himikawa and Aqua's family. No, he was probably doing this with multiple women. And it really goes to show you the disgusting nature of the back of just that area where, if a dude feels like, hey, I need to get up on the leg, I need to get some fame, I need to get some popularity because I'm not hitting it. Well, let me hit up the big shot girl right there. That is number one there. Oh, okay. I Hoshino. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, cozy up to her, have a relationship, maybe have some sort of one night, maybe a few night stands, and lo and behold, of course, she's pregnant. And again, why he tried to kill her, or why he sent a hitman to kill her or something like that, don't know. Is it because he was ashamed, or was the fact that he did it because he's like, no, 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 I made you, and you have these very talented children that I know about, um, and you're gonna keep them from me. Because remember, in the first episode, she did send him a message saying like, "Hey, are you ever gonna come by, see your children, and everything, right?" Um, you know, the and maybe he saw them in plays, or or he saw Aqua in clearly a movie, right? And he's like, "That's my son." Oh, so now and he wants to take advantage of I and everything. That's why he sent the hitman to kill her, because it's like, oh, you want to now talk to me after neglecting me or something like that. Because it seems like dude must have like left. It's more than likely, instead of like I kicking him to the curb, it's more than likely, dude leaving, I's probably management team is like, oh, this is not good. You need to go, right? And maybe that's the case. Maybe that's what her old manager Miyako told her. Told the husband to go kick rocks, essentially, right? Because you got our famous girl pregnant and everything, and now this is blown up in our face. And this is a whole issue. And again, maybe he set the hit, or maybe he sent the hitman to kill I to close up any loose fucking ends. It's the thing, because remember, in the text message in the first episode, she did tell him like, hey, I would like it if you come see your children, and she did send the address. So she made it's first mistake number one. Like, you don't give away especially if you're a famous person and you're not in touch with a partner, especially one that hasn't met their kids. It's probably best that you probably don't have said person interact with your kid's life, and especially she did that when they were still young, albeit they were sentient enough to pick up on what they know, to know what they were doing. But it was there probably should have been a conversation where you have when they're like old enough, like how they are now. And it's like, hey, you know, do you guys want to meet your father? I could see if I can reach out to him and see if you want to meet your father. If you guys have any question on who, your father's at. But again, that, at that time, I is still young, fairly, right? She's still a fairly young girl, so she's not thinking about all that stuff, right? She's not thinking like, maybe it's not best for my children who are young, to meet their father who probably abandoned them and has nothing and wants probably nothing to do with us. So yeah, and by that, in giving away the location where she was at, it only basically gave the father like retribution and be like, oh, okay, don't let you forget I'm the one that made you. I'm the one that gave you your successful kids, right? And things like that. So it's crazy, but because of this, and now realizing this, Aqua has no, I guess, taste for revenge anymore. The revenge is not there, because if the dude is dead, well, what's the point in doing what he's doing to seek out revenge on his father for the death of his mom? There's nothing there because he's dead. So, like, in reality, he really got nothing to live for. But then he kind of realizes, like, maybe it's just better I look at things in a brighter view, and maybe I think it's now time, because I was always focused in on this killing stuff. Maybe it's time I actually finally appreciate life for once and appreciate the life that I have. Because then he ends up going home. Ruby ends up like, whoa, where the hell were you at? And she's thinking like, were you at Akane's place or something like that, doing something you not been doing? And Aqua's like, no, I wasn't. I was at Himikawa's place, and everything. And she's like, oh, okay, I guess you guys were probably doing bro stuff and everything. And basically, Aqua does tell Ruby like, I would like you to meet him, right? Because that's also her half brother too. So Ruby has two brothers. But then when you see Aqua turn around, because Ruby's like, well, anyways, did you want breakfast or something? And Aqua turns around and he actually, that star that was in his eye, which was mostly revenge, that shit's gone. And he's like, yeah, sure. And he actually smiles and he seems happy with his life, right? So essentially, that's kind of the whole thing, because then later in the episode, Kana basically makes the mention like, you sound you feel different. You feel like more content, or you feel more mellow. Like you're not as like pent up or something like that. And obviously he's like, well, okay, I feel like that. Who's to say? And obviously she's like, oh, I actually kind of like that. So, it's clear that it sounds like not only Ruby can tell like, okay, he's acting different. Kana and Mem probably can see like, oh, that's not the same Aqua that I know of, or that I remember that he was acting like, right? So yes, but basically the back half of the chunk of this episode is Ruby basically wanting to get the next like B Komachi, concert out and everything, so then she can perform and get more famous and everything, because she feels like this is this urgent need, even though Miyako's like, well, we gotta wait. One, Aqua and Kana still have their play that they gotta do, and then on top of it, look, the said director or the composer it hasn't created the soundtrack yet. I reached out to him a month ago, but he still hasn't created it, right? And we basically kind of find out like how he's kind of going through like a writer's block or an artist block, and kind of basically breaks it down as saying like, well, in his heyday, he could easily come up with things on the fly, in terms of making soundtracks and the beats and everything. But now, because he hasn't tapped into that for so long, he can't come up with something, and he's being stunted. And you actually see like he doesn't even know what to do or think of something like that, right? Because they're trying to make a new, because what we know is like they've been using old B Komachi like songs and everything, right, to bring them back in the fold. So now the whole plan is now they're going to use their own type of special soundtrack that will signify them as their version of B Komachi, which is different from the original one, right? Smart thinking, right? Because eventually you just can't live off in the old stuff. You got to create your own stuff and get your own outreach out there and create your own fans to be like, all right, is this a worth my time investing and putting my money into it, right? So yeah, you did get this funny scene, because while they're in this dead period, right, obviously they gotta find ways to make money. So Memchild, because she's a YouTuber, right, it's strictly, she's like, well, why not we just record our rooms and do like a room visit or a room video where we show the audience like, hey, this is what we have in our rooms. And it's funny because eventually Kana's like not down with this, right? But then they use the whole mem uses like, well, technically, I've seen people do it in the past where they actually have sold stuff online, and Kana's like, okay, then I'm in. All right, yeah, let's do this shit. And then they actually have Kana recording, and Kana's just recording. She's like, well, you look at this thing. I got this when I was like freaking 10. It's really expensive. This goes for about like $2,000 on the market. It's a good catch to have. And even though she's like, it honestly came off more as a like, hey, come on, buy my stuff. Come on, buy my stuff. If you pay me $2,000, I'll happily sell that to you. Which was absolutely funny, because you could clearly tell like Mem and Ruby were not vibing with what she was doing, right? But again, Ruby she just wants to do this new hit single for B Komachi. And we do see her where, one, she's also not only want to do it for her own reasons, but she also wants to do it because she wants to do it for the doctor, aka Aqua, right? because she wants to because that was her goal. Because remember from the first episode, her goal was to become an idol like I. So then, and basically the doctor said, well, don't worry, I promise I'll be your biggest fan. And that's been her whole inspiring reason and things like that. So we end up actually getting a quick flashback scene where she ended up actually calling the hospital. And the hospital people did mention, like, well, he hasn't been seen for quite a while. It's like he was here one day and then he's just gone. So we don't know what happened to him, right? Um, and they don't know, like, obviously he died, and obviously, Ruby doesn't know, like, basically he died and he's reincarnated into Aqua. Now, again, like I said, when we get to the end of the season, we'll talk about that and her whole thing there, right? Um, so there's that, right? But anyways, due to Ruby's insisting, like, no, we gotta do this. We gotta do this because number one, who's to say that eventually Kana starts to her movie career or her acting career takes off to the point she can't do the B Komachi stuff. And then freaking Mem, she's basically an older girl. She's basically like 25, and if she hits 30, well, dog, like, she can't be an idol. She can't do this idol stuff anymore. She's gonna be too old to do it, right? Even though she has already maxed out at the age limit range to be an idol, but Ruby's basically giving me Aqua, like, hey, look, we don't got a lot of time here, so we need to pick up the process, because if we ruin this chance, we're not gonna get our feet off the ground. And look, she does make valid points. Like, if Aqua, if Kana's acting career takes off, she gets a big gig, well, she ain't gonna be around as much because, if you're getting big acting gigs, director's gonna keep calling for your number and be like, hey, we want to put you in this big A-list type of movie. She's gonna be taken away from her idol duties to do movie stuff. And then again, like she said, she makes a valid point with Mem. She's already past the typical age range to be an idol, and the moment she hits like freaking 30, she got a problem more than likely stop being an idol. So in reality, they don't got a lot of time to do this, and more than likely it's probably like a 5-6 year type of thing that they got going on. And Ruby's seeing, like, we don't got time, we got to hit while the iron's hot. And also too, maybe they get big enough to the point, well, if they have any other aspiring actors or people that want to become idols, while Ruby is still doing it, maybe they can get new people to eventually fill in for Kana and Mem when they obviously may have to leave, while Ruby could be on like the tail end of her idol career, could have new up and coming idols again follow suit of B Komachi 2.0 essentially, right? And it keeps the trend going, right? Of creating these idols and creating maybe more B Komachis down in the line. So that's what Ruby is trying to get at, right? So Miyako's like, all right, I'll give a call to the director one more time, or the composer one more time. And essentially, that's when we saw that one scene. But then Ruby ends up actually sending the composer a video of her and saying, like, hey, hi, my name is Ruby. Look, I really appreciate you trying to work, on making this song, and I know you're going through stuff, but I just want to say, like, hey, I really appreciate you. I love listening to B Komachi. And she basically inspires this dude, and this dude kind of sees I through her, which again makes sense because she is literally I's daughter. And it inspires this guy to actually get up off his ass and actually make some music. So yeah, and that's basically where the whole thing is. Now, basically, also too, through the episode, they mention, like, well, how about we do our music here at this site, which is the site of where the hospital area is at, right? Now, Aqua and Ruby clearly know where that area is at, right? And basically, they're like, well, we can shoot our music video there, and then at the same time, because it's like kind of like a resort area too, we can get some R&R and have a good time, right? Also too, I did like the one part of the episode when they bring up like the composer's name, and Aqua immediately goes Aqua immediately goes to the straight to the Aqua immediately goes to like, wait, that means he had a connection to I, which means I can find out more about the killer. And then he's like, my father's dead, so there's no point. But eventually Aqua's like, well, okay, I guess I can go. But or well, actually, no, he doesn't really say that, but he's like, well, we'll see, right? He's in this he's he's in this process of if he should do it. I'm like, or if he should go or not, and stuff like that. But again, the composer basically gets like, oh, hey, that's the thing, right? That's the cool thing. So the months go by, Tokyo Blade basically ends. So there's that and everything. But yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the interesting thing there, right? So Aqua is thinking a bit, and then yeah, so it kind of ends off in a all right, cool type of way. So we can go do that and everything, and then all of a sudden the episode ends off with like these crow feathers flying, and you see this white-haired girl, and I'm just like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? So I don't know. And she got a creepy ass smile on her face and shit like that. So I don't know if there's like some supernatural shit that's going on where it's like she's some sort of like spirit that can sense the future or shit like I don't know, dude. It was a wicked scene, but yeah, but anyways, I'm gonna get over it. There's 3 more episodes to go of season 2. Again, I'm gonna get these episodes out as fast as I can. And with my Christmas break coming up soon, I will definitely get to it. Definitely probably finish up the season next week. So, yeah, I'm probably gonna watch the next episode like right now after I get off this recording, and things like that. But yeah. But anyways, if you guys like the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts, hit that subscribe button. If you want to get more Oshi No Ko content or any other anime content, I upload to the channel. But till then, guys, stay safe out there. Have a great rest of your day or your night or whenever you're checking out this video. Till then, guys, peace.